Hey there, Ike here. Welcome back to Live Richly, where we help each other become better investors. So Netflix announced last week that it's going to be offering video games in the near future. And Alphabet already has a video gaming offering in Stadia. So why is the biggest search engine in the world and the biggest video streaming platform in the world moving into video games? Well, money. There's a lot of money to be made in video games. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the video gaming industry, how we can also invest in video games and esports and make some money. I'll also profile two standout investment options that I think is the best way to get entry into video games if you're not familiar with that space. And I'll also tease out the one company that I think is the undisputed king of video games at the moment. I think they're crushing it with everything that they're doing. And then I'll share something that I think a lot of people don't factor in when they're looking at investing in video games that I think is important. So watch the video and find out. So let's talk about the scope of video games. So if you take the 2019 Hollywood gross box office, and we had some cracking movies in 2019, and then you add in the revenue from these professional sports leagues, you will still be short of the $175 billion that the video gaming industry and esports market generated. And this grew by 20% in that time frame. So the video gaming industry is actually projected to surpass 200 billion by 2023. So Avengers Endgame raked in 850 million globally during its opening weekend, but Grand Theft Auto 5 raked in 1 billion in just over 3 days when it launched in 2013. The perception around video games is changing. Gaming is no longer a solitary activity and increasingly a social medium, enabling the sharing of virtual experiences and the interaction with friends and strangers around the world. There are 2.8 billion active video game users around the world. That's a really big market. The video gaming industry is broken up into three segments: personal computing, console gaming, and mobile. Mobile is where it's at. Mobile gaming is the fastest growing segment of video gaming there is. And these are games like PUBG, Pokemon Go, Fortnite. And if you've ever played these games, you're probably asking yourself one thing: are these games free? Yes, they are. And welcome to freemium. Freemium is the pricing strategy by which basic product or service, the video game in this case, is provided free of charge, but the money is charged for additional features and services or virtual goods that expand the functionality of the free version of the game. So the old business model was a one transaction process where you'd buy the game, you own it, probably pay $60 for a game or something like that. But with freemium, you get the game for free, and there are mini transactions in the game where you upgrade your gear and or your skins, stuff like that. That won't give you an advantage in the game. You don't have to buy any of it. But the revenue growth from these freemium games indicates that a lot of people do make transactions in the game. And this one-time transaction is now many transactions. And so these games really aren't free. I mean, we've all heard stories of kids spending thousands of dollars on games that their parents thought were for free. Now let's talk about esports. The rise of the esports industry has seen hundreds of thousands of fans watch professional players compete in high stakes, well-organized tournaments. Revenues comes from sponsorships, merchandise, and advertising. And there's a reason why Amazon paid nearly $1 billion for Twitch, a game streaming platform. There was an average of 2 million viewers per day on Twitch. That's a lot of eyeballs that you can push advertising to. And then the League of Legends Championships gets more viewers than the Super Bowl. I mean, people love watching other people play video games. I mean, who knew? And before we talk about how you can take advantage of this trend, if you're enjoying this content so far, please consider liking the video. It really helps YouTube push my video out and my channel to grow. And if you are enjoying the content I've been making lately, consider subscribing. So how do you get into the video gaming market and capitalize on the growth in this industry? Well, we can't really talk about gaming without mentioning, in my opinion, the king of video gaming, Tencent, which I was going to include in this video, but there's so much to cover with Tencent. This video would be like 30 minutes long. So Tencent is definitely one you should research further. I'll be making a video on them specifically and releasing that soon, but feel free to look them up in the interim. Today, we're going to be talking about 2 exchange traded funds or ETFs focused on gaming and esports. And as usual, whoever names these ETFs, you're doing a good job. I'm here for it. So the first ETF is the Global X Video Games and Esports ETF, ticker code HERO or HERO. This ETF seeks to invest in companies that develop or publish video games, facilitate streaming and distribution of video games or esports content. So you're getting your video games exposure, you're getting your streaming exposure and esports. So there's certain things you need to know about this ETF. The first one being the fee. You're paying 50 basis points or 0.50% or $5 for every $1,000 you have invested. There are about 39 different holdings. So with your one product, you're invested in 39 companies, which means you're getting a lot of diversification as these companies are also spread out across the world. The top 5 holdings are Nvidia, Sea Limited, Activision, and EA Sports, and I think also in NetEase. So you're invested in some big players that kind of have their hands in different parts of the video game supply chain. So now performance. The fund has returned 62.69% since inception, but this has underperformed its index by 0.78%. So just note that this fund has only been trading since October 2019, so it's not a very long time frame to make a performance-based assessment, but the performance to date has been stellar. The second ETF is the Van Eck Vectors Video Gaming and Esports ETF, ticker code ESPO or ESPO for short. This ETF is a bit more concentrated than HERO. It's got 26 companies, the top holdings being Nvidia, AMD, Tencent, Sea Limited, and Nintendo. The performance since inception is 37.36%, which has underperformed the index again by 1.1%. The fee is 0.58 basis points or $5.80 for every $1,000 you have invested. So how are these ETFs different? How do you pick which ETF to invest in, right? So the Global X HERO ETF is if you want more diversification, less hardware exposure, and arguably a bit more focused on smaller cap companies. The Van Eck ETF or ESPO ETF is if you want more like mega cap companies, like really large companies, Chinese companies, and a smaller exposure to technical hardware and something that's more concentrated because it holds less options. So that's like a broad overview of how these 2 ETFs are different. And for all the people who hit that like button, here's a free tip for you. And if you haven't, maybe consider hitting it after this tip. So if you're looking for investment ideas in specific companies, if you go on these ETFs or any ETF's website and you look up the fact sheets that show you how much they actually have invested in their top 10 or top 20 holdings, you can actually see the allocation they have, which is kind of a good gauge of how bullish these managers are on that particular stock. So that's an awesome place to filter out a lot of crap companies and to kind of focus your attention on, if they have high conviction in these ones, they're probably a good place for you to start doing your own research. So you get that one for free. So another thing to consider is gaming ETFs do have exposure to casino and gambling platforms. And if investing in these type of stocks is not your thing, I mean, if you don't want to invest in vice stocks for ethical reasons, that's something you should consider or just investigate a bit more when looking at gaming ETFs. But I do have other investment videos that I've made. One of my favorite ones is the investing in water. I'll link that one up here. And the other one is investing in luxury. That one here. As I like to say, let rich people get you rich. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll catch you guys next week. I'm out. Bye.